I remember waiting in the oncologist's room along with my mother, and we were waiting for some of her test results. I was around 15 years old, and it felt as if we were waiting there forever. The doctor eventually came in along with the nurse, and I remember standing up as they came in, and he walked right over to me and looked me right in the face, and in a very matter-of-fact manner said, "Your mother has breast cancer." To which I stumbled back. I stumbled back 2 or 3 steps, and the nurse got hold of me. She caught me and sat me down. And I can't ever forget that reaction I had to that news, and then looking over to my mum and seeing her reaction to that. I remember a few weeks later, my mum had come home from the hospital. She had had surgery, and I was helping her as best as I could because I was her only daughter. I was the youngest of 4 siblings, and I was helping her get dressed one day, and I caught a glimpse of the aftermath of cancer. And the impact it had had on her body. I didn't know what a mastectomy was at that time. And I don't think my mum did either. It traumatized me. And I went into grief. I grieved losing a part of my mum. And it was silent grief because I couldn't share it with anyone. I didn't share it with anyone. Never have until now. I didn't even share it with my mum. And she certainly didn't share anything with me. I remember 6 years later, the cancer came back, and this time it hijacked the whole of her body. And then it took her away. She was 50 years old. I remember around just over 20 years later, my dad passing away after a long, not battle, I won't say you use the word battle, but with a long interaction with Parkinson's disease. And at the time of him passing away, I remember feeling very upset, very distressed. But also I remember keeping something about him. And that was that I had feelings of him a couple of times when I felt that he let me down. Times when I really felt that I needed him and he didn't show up, he didn't deliver. And I held that. 4 years ago, my son passed away, and he was 22. He had a sudden cardiac arrest. And my world fell apart. What have I learnt from this? I've learnt that having a relationship with your children, more than just a parent and child relationship, is really important, so that you can talk. Because it's something I didn't have with my mum. We were just mother and daughter. We loved each other very much, but that's what we were. So having a relationship that's more than that with my daughters was very important to me. And I have that, which is a blessing. I learnt to live my life differently to how my mum lived her life. So I think I pulled everything apart and thought, what can I do that's different? How did she live her life? How did she eat? How did she, what was her lifestyle like? Did she talk about her issues or problems with anyone? No, she didn't. I made sure that I put things into place that was completely different to how my mum lived her life, because I decided a long time ago that I wanted to outlive her. And I've been successful in that, but this is an ongoing journey, if you like, constantly. I've learnt that holding anything negative is only going to hurt one person, and that was me. So the feelings I had about my dad maybe letting me down wasn't serving any kind of purpose to anyone other than it was damaging me. And I realized, why am I carrying that? Why is it that I'm carrying that? I can't validate our relationship on that. What was our relationship? Well, it was a father and daughter relationship, and we loved each other very much. And I decided that's all I needed. That's really all that mattered. Nothing else mattered. And so that's how it's been since then. I've also learned that life is very short. And if you have a dream, a desire, a wish to do something, then don't wait for that perfect time. Don't wait for life to hit that pause button and then just say, right, okay, you can start now, because we're just going to hold things for you. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. If you decide that you want to make a difference in your own way, in a small way perhaps, it doesn't have to be anything massive, just make a difference, then do it. Take that first step. Taking that first step is usually the hardest thing to do. And once you've taken that first step, things have started already. So do it. I decided after losing my son that I was going to try and leave a legacy in his name and in mine. And so I started a charity in his name, which is already a small success as far as I see it, but I've got long-term goals. So let's see if I reach those. I also volunteer for a charity where I counsel and support women who have also experienced child loss, and that gives me so much, more than I can actually ever say. And no money can ever pay the amount that you get in meaningful connections that you make and making a difference to people's lives. So really that's what it's about. Making those meaningful connections and making a difference and spreading the love. Sounds a bit corny, but yeah, that's really what it's about, because nothing else matters. Absolutely not. I decided to do this for another reason, not only just to leave a legacy, but the other thing that I wanted to do was, I felt we don't know what the future has. We don't really know anything about this life that we live, but we know one thing, and that is that this life comes to an end. And if I have the opportunity at that time to think about my life, think back about my life, I don't want there to be any regrets. I don't want to be at that finish line thinking, I wish I had done this, I wish I had done that when I had the energy, when I was young enough to do it. If only, I just didn't want that. So I thought, well, I'm going to try my best to do the most I can do, the best I can do, so that when I get to that finish line and I look back, I can look back with pride and think, yeah, I think I did the best I could have done, that my ability allowed me to, mentally and physically. And I, with the cards that I was dealt, I did the best. And that's what I want. I want to be there. And that's my driving force, and that's what helps me get out of bed in the morning and forces me to put one step in front of the other. And I have my off days where I just can't do it, but that's okay, as long as I'm honest and truthful with myself that today I just can't show up. And that's okay. Cutting myself some slack and forgiving, being forgiving is important too. But ultimately, to take those steps in the right direction so that I can reach that goal. And it's a constant thing. I'm never going to get to that point where, okay, I've got there now, I can step off grief and I've come to the end of the bereavement road. And no, it's never really going to happen like that. It's going to go on. But it's what keeps me going on, keeps me going. And that's what's important. So find whatever you're passionate about. Go for it. Just go for it. Do it. Because life throws curveballs. Absolutely does.